Hi, it's Griggs of Obsidian Wisdom. Today we answer the question, how do I retire with no money saved? When it comes to people getting ready for retirement, there is something that is called the retirement savings gap. There are lots of numbers on this. There are some that say as high as 90% of American households do not have enough money saved for retirement. I've quoted other studies that said as high as 64% of Americans are retiring broke every day. And where they pulled that number from is they just took the people that have $5,000 or less in their retirement accounts, and they are at age to retire, which is estimated to be generally 65 years old. So this question is something that a lot of people are trying to figure out. What do I do if I don't have any money saved? When asked why they're not saving enough for retirement, there was a few reasons that were given. 45% of people said that they just don't have enough money to save. 24% said they're struggling to pay their bills. 9% said that I won't need retirement savings. 7.6% said that my job doesn't offer a plan. 7% said I'm focusing on paying down my debt. And then about 6.6% said that I use the money for an emergency. So they were saving and then something happened, so they take the money out of savings. Whatever the reason, we know that a significant number of Americans are trying to figure out, will I be able to retire? So the plan for this video is let's just have a conversation. Let's just have some open dialogue where I'll share some general thoughts. You ask the question, I'll see if I can help you jog some ideas. And then if anything sounds good to you, then you would take action on those steps. Now, you guys know me. I'm big on ratios, and ratios help you understand whether you're talking to someone who's telling you a once-off pie in the sky situation, or whether you're being exposed to something that is a constant problem that you have to solve and prepare for. And because 70% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck, even 50% of those who make six figures or more are living paycheck to paycheck, the inability to invest for retirement could easily become a financial catastrophe, and one that if we can mitigate that risk in some way that we should. So the first thing I always believe we should all do is, you guys know I'm big on wisdom. Wisdom is the cornerstone. And there's lots of different examples that I'll give you. But the reality is becoming a millionaire isn't about the money. It's about who we have to become the millionaire. It's the same about being healthy. Being healthy is great. We like to feel good. We like to look good. We're going to walk on the beach. You guys know I'm down here in Florida. But the largest benefit of being healthy is you becoming a person who enjoys working out, who enjoys eating healthy, who enjoys being active. That is the most rewarding goal of you becoming a healthy person. And it's the same with your wealth and your finances. I remember listening to a bunch of people that have told the story. The idea is if we took all the money in the world and we gathered it in one place, and then we said, okay, let's hand everybody out the exact same amount of money evenly, where you give everybody $1 million that everybody can get evenly, where everybody has the same amount of money, that in 10 years or so, all the money ends up back in the hands of the people it started with. Well, why is that? It's because the person who earned the $1 million, who became the millionaire, it wasn't about the money. It was about something inside of them. They learned how to sell. They learned how to provide value to other people. They learned how to create a product that people would like. They learned how to solve problems that would help others. They learned how to galvanize and lead so that people would help them to create their dream and turn it into reality. That is why 70% of professional athletes end up broke after 3 years of retirement. That is why within 3 years of winning the lottery, that most of those people end up broke. And that is why 90% of generational wealth is gone by the third generation. You can't just give someone a bag of money and believe the problem is solved. And so, in my opinion, the best way that I have found to solve the problem of finances in my life is for me to invest in myself. I invest in books and workshops and masterminds on financial planning and investing. I invest in certifications for me to be able to grow and expand my craft. These are all things that I invest in myself so that I can become a wealthy person that can then provide that value to other people. Now, you may decide it makes more sense for you to invest in your teaching and you can become an educator or a public speaker. There are so many things that you can invest in yourself, which I believe will then take you from the person trying to figure out how to make the ends meet to the person who is then able to increase their value and increase their wealth. And as a result, now you can invest the money that you need. Now, naturally, this is more of a long-term play. You guys know just watching the videos I put out. If you go watch the first video I put out, it was awful. Now, I did the best I could, just like I'm doing the best I can now. 2 years from now, we're going to look at my videos and say, this video is awful. And I can appreciate that growth, that insight, that wisdom of me reinvesting in myself to provide a better product. You're going to want to do the same for yourself. Again, it's not about getting the money because anybody can get the money. It's about becoming the person that creates the money, that attracts the value, that understands what to do with the money to multiply it. That is the wisdom that I believe everyone has to start with. That is the difference between the top 10% and then the rest of the 90% is they have a insight that we don't have. And if you've ever lived through and experienced something and thought, if I could go back and do it again, I would do it completely different. I would leverage time. I would build this relationship. I wouldn't have switched that job. That's all we're talking about. As we live and gain wisdom, we gain an insight. We understand the intricacies of things a lot better. We know where we should have gone left instead of going right. And you want to do that when it comes to your finances. There are decisions that you've made over time that if you made a slightly different decision, you would have had more disposable income that you could have been able to invest in. But because we have the wisdom now and we didn't have it then, all we can do is make the best decision from today forward. And we will see the benefits of those decisions within the next couple of years. The life we have today is based off the decision we made 5 years ago. The life that we'll have 2 to 5 years from now is going to be the result of the decisions that we made today. So let's make fantastic decisions today. Once we have the wisdom under control, it may be worth our time to look at building a second income. We've already talked about gathering the wisdom and the insight and the skill that could generate some more money for us, but maybe we just want to get a second job. Maybe the second job will be less stressful. Maybe we can multiply our money. If our kids are grown and gone, we have a little bit more time than we used to. As long as we're generating an income, we have the ability to put that money to work to at least give us some sort of an advantage when we do decide to retire. Now, having the additional income can work in a couple of ways. Number one is you maybe aren't even focused on the money. There are people who work at Starbucks as baristas because they get healthcare benefits, and then that saves them more money than they even make. Where you're able to say, all right, well, my healthcare expenses would have been thousands of dollars a month. Even though I'm only making a little bit of money here, I'm saving thousands because of the healthcare benefits that I have. Now, some of you are going to say, well, Dre, I don't feel like working for that reason, which is totally fine as well. That's why we're having the conversation. If you find yourself in that situation, then it may make more sense for you to join some sort of a community service group. There's lots of nonprofits and civic organizations that have healthcare group policies where you're able to get a much better deal than if you had an individual policy based on your own health. And so you could join some of these groups. If there's groups you're passionate about, join one of them, see if they have healthcare benefits that they're able to get with the group, and then you can get the benefits and the savings that way. Now, for others, it may make sense to make the Social Security play. And there's a couple of ways you could do this. If you retire at 62, which is generally the earliest that you can get your Social Security, that's about $1,200 that you would get a month. If you're able to reach full retirement age, which for most people is about 67, then you get about on average $1,700. If you're able to wait another 3 years and make it to 70 years old, you can get about $2,200 on average from Social Security. As far as the dollars and cents, you get about an 8% increase in what your Social Security payout is every single year that you don't get your Social Security from 62 to 70. Obviously, 70 it caps out. If you don't touch it after 70, there's no more money that you get. You're just allowing Uncle Sam to keep the money. Now, if you're someone who would say, well, look, Dre, what I'm willing to do is I can work a little bit longer and I'll take Social Security at 62. I'll take that $1,200 and I'll invest that $1,200 in something, or I will take that $1,200 and pay off my debt, where I put myself in a situation where I can live off of that 1,200 as best as I can. And even if you're not able to, maybe you could just bridge it a little bit. So let's say you're able to pay off all your debt, get your living expenses down to maybe 2,000 a month, and now you have a shorter amount of gap to fill. Now, for those that are wondering, I do have another video where I talk about the average retirement income, and it's about $4,000. We make our most money right before retirement. So if you're having a cost of living creep where you are living off of about that $4,500 a month, well, if you're going to drop down to $2,000 for Social Security, you got to cut your expenses in half and your living life in half. But if you're able to pay off all the debt, you have a clean and clear house, or maybe you moved into a tiny home, or maybe you bought an RV, or maybe you moved to another state that has a lower cost of living. We talk about all the beauty and the benefits of Florida, where people move from New York to Florida. But have you ever thought about just the cost of living? Have you ever thought about the fact that people living in New York where they have $150,000, $200,000 salary, but because of the cost of living in New York, that's not a lot of money? That's maybe a lower level salary where you don't really get to do a lot with that. And then you move to a state like Florida with a significantly lower cost of living to where your pension that's based in New York is now a lot cheaper in Florida. And we don't have state taxes and we have great weather without the snow and all that craziness. There's a lot of reasons that people move to Florida. And sometimes it's just the economics of it, where I live in a state with a higher cost of living, and then I moved to a state with a lower cost of living. Now, you'll find that Florida isn't necessarily one of the lowest cost of living states in the entire United States. It's just significantly lower than New York. When our friends from Florida moved to California, who are used to paying $10 for a slice of toast with a little avocado on it or something, and then they would come back to Florida to visit, they would just be spending money all over the place because everything was so cheap relative to California. And so it really comes down to, where are you currently living at? And is there a state that you could move to where your dollar is worth a little bit more? Even if you're living on Social Security, if you move to a lower cost of living state, then it increases your spending power, which is what we all really want in retirement. We just want the ability to afford the lifestyle that we want. We want to be able to have some fun and not think about it. Now, when it comes to the states that have the lowest cost of living in the United States, I'll read the bottom 13. So it's Mississippi, Oklahoma, Kansas, Alabama, Georgia, Ohio, Iowa, West Virginia, Indiana, Arkansas, Missouri, Tennessee, and Michigan. So you can see from this list, if you don't live in one of these states, then it may be a good idea for you to move to one of them. Now, some people will move to Puerto Rico, or they'll move to Costa Rica, or they'll move to Mexico, or they'll move to Italy, where there is a significant cost of living adjustment to where their dollar goes a lot further. And so you may just find yourself having to make an adjustment where your Social Security goes a little bit further. The last option that we'll talk about today on what you can do if you're planning on retiring with no savings is, we could keep you in the workforce by shifting you into something that you would enjoy doing but getting paid to do. So maybe you just need to retire from the high stress position you currently have, or the high travel, or the unfulfilling position you currently have. And maybe we can find something that brings you joy that you can do. And you may not get paid as much, but you get paid enough that when you match it with your Social Security, you can maintain your lifestyle in some way, shape, or form. Where you can put that money in a tax-free account, you can put it into a Roth, or you can put that money aside and buy a duplex and you live on one side or rent out the other side. Or you can go on to one of these business broker websites and buy a business that's already generating a certain amount of cash flow every single month. There are a variety of ways where you can take that money in the very last years to free up your time so that you can have fulfillment and happiness, which is really, if you ask me, just tied to how you spend your time and how you spend your money. If someone spends their time doing things that they love doing, I find that those people are very happy. If you spend your money on people that you love and things you support and causes you believe in, I find that those people are very happy. It's when we don't have control of our time or our money. Those are the two leverage points that we have. If we can't control our time and our money, we're really just sitting back like, what are we doing? Do I live my life for someone else? Do I get to control what I'm doing? I know for me, that's how I feel. That I want to have some semblance of control in my life, that I'm not just working to achieve someone else's dream, that I'm not just working, waiting to die, that I don't make money just to pay bills. I want to be able to feel like some of my life is mine to live, and I get to support the things that I believe in and leave my own legacy in my own special way. First of all, I just want to say thank you for watching the video. I just want to let you know that you're fantastic and I don't take you for granted. If you found value in this video, please like and subscribe so you can continue receiving valuable insights on how to close the savings gap through wealthy retirement planning.